about a semi-decadal overview of marine plastic research in KwaZulu-Natal.
I started off with semi-decadal because I couldn't find a word that meant 5 years, and semi-decadal sounded much more impressive than 5 years. But basically 5 years is the time that I've moved from Cape Town to KwaZulu-Natal. And in that time, I think KwaZulu-Natal sort of created itself as a node of research. And the word Quo Vadis is important because it's Latin and it means where are we going. And I've always thought, and my history teacher long ago once said, you can't know where you're going if you don't know where you've been or where you are. So what I thought I'd do with this talk is try and have a look at where we're going. So let's look at where we've come from. Oh, it's not showing. It's not moving. There we are. So Quo Vadis means where we're going, so we need to know where we are. Let's look at yesterday, where we come from. Plastics were invented in the 1890s with a substance called bakelite, which was used for ivory cue balls and ivory piano keys, which actually stopped elephants from being poached. So it's kind of a good story for the elephants, but it caused a whole new suite of problems for us. We're currently producing about 400 million metric tons of plastics every single year. And it's increasing exponentially. We still haven't reached the sort of asymptote of our plastic production. So let's look at South Africa's waste management strategy. Prior to 1994, we had a waste disposal strategy. Since 1999, we had a national waste management strategy. But it's really scary to think, and these are some figures from the actual department, that every South African produces between 180 to 255 kilograms of waste every single year. We don't think about it. I mean, we put our black bag on the corner and it gets collected, and we don't really have any concept of how much that is. That's 500 million tons of waste being produced every year. And the really scary thing is when we sit there and we think about South Africa, only 5% of that ends up in legal landfills. 5% legal landfills. We currently ranked 11th in the world globally for mismanaged waste. And the graph in the corner, there isn't a pointer, but the graph in the corner is what our waste is made up of. So the bulk of the waste, 34%, is actually food waste. And that's something to think about, because that's waste that we don't really need to be throwing away. If we have a worm farm or a compost heap, 34% of our waste automatically stops going to landfill. And it's a relevant question. Hayley brought it up, so I'm going to address Hayley's concept. A lot of people are angry with companies like Woolworths and the packaging items that they have around our products when they sell them to us. And there was an internet storm that went viral. Why Woolworths, we, your customers, don't want this? A planet doesn't need it. Sweet potatoes can go from your shelf to my trolley, to my kitchen, without ever needing to touch a plastic bag. We may think that. And yes, it's a potato, it's got its own skin. But the problem is that 34% of Woolworths' throwaway is food waste due to incorrect packaging. So we don't know the whole story behind packaging that's being used in shops at the moment. So I think that poor old Woolworths is caught between a rock and a hard place. There's no right answer for Woolworths, and Woolworths actually has a waste management strategy. If you bother to go and to look on their website, they've got a waste management strategy, and they're doing the minimum necessary to protect, inform, and promote the product. So they're trying to do the minimum they have to. But they're also trying to decrease food waste, which for them is a bigger problem. And we see only the other side of the problem. Let's look at KZN context. Coastline's 580 kilometers long. We have 70 estuaries. 17 of those are in the eThekwini municipality. And every Durbanite produces 4 kilograms of waste a day. These are from Durban solid waste figures. So Durban Solid Waste reckons that every person in eThekwini produces 4 kilograms of waste per day. KZN has the second largest population, 10 million people, 3.6 million in eThekwini municipality alone, and we currently have in eThekwini about 1,358 people per square kilometre, each producing 4 kilograms of waste a day. It's a lot of rubbish. And the scary thing is that nobody's talking about this. Our population is doubling, which means our waste problem is going to double in the next 50 years. And the graph at the back is just to show you, at the bottom is to show you how much waste that the eThekwini municipality removes in comparison to other communities. And the really scary thing is that I have to put these up as quotes. Over 80% of our plastic ocean pollution comes from the land. It doesn't come from the sea. Most people thought it was from ships throwing it over. It's not. It's actually coming from the land via the rivers, storm or water runoff, or directly discharged on purpose into coastal waters. Of that, 75% comes from uncollected waste, 25% from collected waste. And that's from informal dump sites. And we have to look at that in pictures. This is the South African context of waste disposal. We do not have proper service delivery in the country, which means that communities are forced to find innovative ways of getting rid of their rubbish. One of those innovative ways is a river flows past your community. If it floods, it takes away a whole bunch of rubbish. All of that rubbish is going to go down into the ocean. Which means that every 15 seconds, 3 metric tons of plastic is entering the ocean. That's a global figure. So what about today? Well, I was in hospital recently, which meant that I couldn't take part in the social media storm because apparently, according to my children, anesthetic, morphine, and social media is not a good combination for me. So I was banned from all technology while in hospital, which meant that I actually have a slightly different perspective because I could watch things unfolding without being emotionally involved in it. Yes, it's a topic that I research. But this was a picture that most Durbanites woke up to, and this is the newspaper headline: Nurdle spills spreads as cleanup continues. On the 10th of October, we had the hashtag Durban storm. The MSC ship blocked the whole of the port of Natal, and unfortunately she crashed into another ship which had 2 containers, only one of which was containing nurdles. And it fell into the harbour. This is the container being recovered. The only thing left in that container after it had been recovered were 2 pallet loads of plastic nurdles. Each one of these bags is 25 kilograms, and these were the plastic that was on the side of the ship when it finished. And I've heard some figures on the internet. People don't know their maths, and they really don't know how to do it, and they're adding up these things, and it's really scary. But here's the real numbers. One container, according to the shipping company, contains 1,025 kilogram bags. That's 25,000 kilos of plastic nurdles. One nurdle weighs 20 milligrams. They recovered about 2,400 kilograms, and you can see that from the picture. It's 8 bags times 3 times 2 times 2 pallets. One container holds 12,500,000,000 nurdles, less the 1.2 billion that were recovered, which means currently that there are 11,300,000,000 nurdles floating in the ocean from that storm. How big is that number? Because we can't compute big numbers. Make a nurdle the size of a cent coin. That's 56 buses of nurdles floating around the ocean. 56 buses. People would think that's a bit of a crisis. But John F. Kennedy once made this wrote, in the Chinese language, the word crisis is composed of 2 characters. The first one means danger, and the second one means opportunity. He was slightly wrong. It doesn't mean opportunity. It means critical point or precarious moment. And I think we're at the precarious moment, but I think it's been a good thing. Because when I search social media, hashtag Durban spill and nurdle have reached 1.2 billion people. 50% of that is from South Africa. And it's got a global spread. And I'd like to say, and this is through posts like this from Ezemvelo and Ushaka, what is a nurdle, which is telling people what is nurdle information, what to do about it, how to collect it. And it's changed our viewpoint of a South African beach. Typically, we'd walk past the beach like this, and you can see a person walking past the rubbish and they don't know what to do. Now you go and have a look at social media posts. People are doing something about the problem and cleaning it up. Twitter feeds, our own Wildlands here, they posted a feed. 900 bags worth of potentially hazardous nurdles were collected in Durban over the weekend. More work still needs to be done. Congratulations, Wildlands. But here are the real interesting things about this social media spread. I want to say congratulations to Vasha Chetty. So those of you who know Vasha Chetty, tell her well done. She was the 3rd person to post about the nurdle problem. The first one was Ryan Llewellyn. Second person was Sambra. And 3rd person was Vasha. Because of them, and here you can see where they posted, right here, this is what's happened. Those are the number of people who've been influenced. And these are the links to hashtag Nerdle that come up. And this is where it gets really interesting and for me kind of worrying. Because most of the people, you can see that there's Ryan Llewellyn, there's Sambra, this is an international organization, and there's Vasuchetti. Top 4 posters. 2 of them are Joe Public. Okay? But here's what gets really into Isimangalisa and Two Oceans Aquarium in engagement with the problem. Two Oceans Aquarium is geographically separated from Durban. When we look at clout, who's got the most impact? The only person that's South African on this list is the Herald Sun newspaper. Nobody else. Kind of scary. It's our problem. We should have the most impact. But when I look at this, and this is where I get positive and where I say, sure, we've got some amazing people out there. SABC News, Wildlands has been posting quite frequently, the Sun Herald, and Two Oceans Aquarium. I don't see Sambra, KZN Wildlife. It's right here. Why aren't we posting more about it? That's a bit worrying to me. And then when I look at websites, and this is where I want to say Fred and Roving Reporters, because these are the top 6 websites that have been carrying information about the spread. Number 1 is Twitter, and the Sambra pages come up here. But look at number 2. Two Oceans Aquarium. Where's Sambra? Where's KZN Wildlife? Number 4 on the list, Roving Reporters. They've done a fantastic job. So well done. I think Ian's in the room. Well done, Ian. You've done an amazing job with this story. You're the number 4 page, and this is where people are going to get the information. And last year we presented a talk, The Use of Social Media as a Novel Method for Knowledge Transfer of Conservation Issues. We said, if you want to get your conservation message to spread, you need to target 18 to 26-year-old men. Men, not women. This is the data. 74% of the people spreading the message are males, not females. We're emotionally tied to the subject, but we do not press and say, I stand for this. And we do not post for it on social media. It's males that are doing the messaging. And Sambra, and there's this website, coastkzn.coza, they're now tracking, and you can. There's a new hashtag that's going on, Show Me Your Nerdles. So it'd be interesting to go and see how this Show Me Your Nerdles spreads, because you can now post pictures on this website of what your nurdles are. But what was really funny to me is that people were picking up nurdles in Milnerton and saying, I found the nurdles from the spill. No, you didn't. They were always there. But now you're aware about the problem. So today, what the science is saying. This is the data of searches of how much microplastic pollution is from the coast of South Africa. We've just finished, and we didn't present it in time, but Cozy Bay, the Cozy Bay fish traps, there's microplastics in the fish traps. Lots of them. Durban, we've done a lot of work in Durban. Froneman looked at 21 beaches. Lamprecht have only done 1 beach in Milton. But Ryan in 1988 told us we had a problem in the Atlantic Ocean. When we look at Durban sediments, these are the different types of fibers we can find. Those are the numbers. This is what should be worrying us. 80% of the microplastic pollution in Durban is from our homes. Fibers from our washing machines. 80% of the pollution is coming from our homes. And you're going to hear a whole bunch of talks today, and so I don't want to tell you about it, but basically we've done research on the brown mussels. They take up fibers, they take up beads, they take up fragments. We've looked at the glass shrimp, which Wesley's going to talk about. We've looked at the tell rock oyster, which is a poster. We've looked at sea urchins. They take up everything, and they take it up both by feeding and through their water vascular system, which means they're getting twice the exposure that anything else is taking up. We've looked at sea cucumbers, which is also a poster by Io. We've looked at 15 species of offshore fish. We've also looked at nearshore fish, the mullet and the marshbunker. 70%, 1 in 7 fish that you catch near shore will have plastic in them. 1 in 5 fish offshore are going to have plastic in them. And I'll leave the rest of the students to elaborate on this table. But what's really scary is you could say the only thing that we don't really eat is that one. But everything that we eat has plastic in it. And when we think about why is that bad, you can go and look at International Pellet Watch. Here's DDT on plastic nurdles in Durban. We're one of the worst in the world. And Rafiwa is going to tell you about toxin transfer on plastic pellets to amphipods. We've finished with on juvenile fish, with juvenile glassfish, which show that if you feed them virgin or contaminated plastics, they have decreased survival rates. We've got to think about the new food chain. It goes from the plastics to us. So where are we going? Durban Solid Waste removes a ton of plastic every day from the Durban Mile. DUCT has last chance capture programs. And we started a project, which we also told you about last year, Booms, Bins and Bags, which is the last chance capture program. The problem with all of these things, and this is a quote regarding noodles can't be recycled, they're contaminated. Neither can plastic from these last chance capture programs. So we're going to need to look at alternative solutions like pyrolysis. So we need to deal with the plastic problem. We need to pay attention to marine waste because we have the potential for increasing tourism at the end of it. Durban's beaches supported 200,000 people in the 4 days from Christmas to New Year. That's a huge income. It's the top 5 tourism attraction for the province. This is something that tourists don't want to see. And there's no magic wand to the solution. If you thought you were going to get one from me, it's not going to happen. We need to look at social awareness. We need to change how we govern our governance laws, especially about waste management. We need to create a waste economy. We need to make waste have a value. And we need to look at last chance capture. Thank you very much.